Fill in the blank. What do you think is the biggest storyline this offseason, Ike? And I'll go from there.
Man, if Chicago don't get number 88 from defensive lineman from Georgia, something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're in my brain again, Ike.
You want to talk about a grown man, a game changer, just a game changer. If Chicago don't get that young man 88 from the Georgia Bulldogs, that defense, I'm not even gonna call him a defensive tackle. He's a defensive lineman. He can play wherever you want him to play. And if you want him to play outside linebacker in the 3-4 or line him up to blitz as a middle linebacker, have at it. Because there's nothing he can't do. But that's going to be my biggest offseason takeaway for the draft if the Chicago Bears don't get number 88. If they don't get number 88, it's going to be a problem.
I am with you. I'd be fine if the Bears drafted him number 1 overall and didn't trade back. If they can get value, trade that pick to a team that needs one of these stud quarterbacks, trade back to the pick to what you could get to still draft Carter and dominate the line of scrimmage for the next decade plus. Cool. Because that's what I would do if I was Chicago. I'm with you, Ike.
I feel like Chicago already got their quarterback.
With Fields, but they have to, I mean, the Bears need a lot, but when you talk about only 20 sacks for the entire season, the defense was abysmal once they traded away Robert Quinn and my linebacker, Roquan Smith. But you want to dominate the line of scrimmage for the next decade plus. You want to play in quote unquote bear weather in November, December, January, hopefully. And what have you had success with your franchise? It's stud defense and it's running the ball. The Bears have been looking for a quarterback for forever. They might have one in Justin Fields, but to me, it's a no-brainer, Ike, too, because if you go with Will Anderson from Alabama, and he's a stud prospect too, Ike, I really like him, but he's not going to matter on the edge if your interior is not stout.
Mark, hey, you just said it. Mark, 88 from Georgia. He's the game changer. You get 88 from Georgia, Mark, you and I can start calling defensive calls for the Chicago Bears.
Ike, what would you say is the biggest storyline? You could take this outside of the draft if you want to. I really think there's two. And if you want me to give you my two, I can go from there. But I think there's two big storylines that we need to keep our eye on this offseason.
All right, then take off.
Okay. What happens with Lamar Jackson? We'll go into that. And then does Aaron Rodgers stay in Green Bay? Does he go to New York? Now let's start with Lamar Jackson. Ravens have a decision to make. Exclusive tag, non-exclusive tag. Let me explain to you the difference. The difference is about $14 million. The exclusive tag is more costly, though, meaning the Ravens can keep him at $45 million per year. No one else can go after Lamar. If they put the non-exclusive tag on him, another team can say, hey, we'll pay Lamar Jackson. The Ravens have the rights to match, but that leaves him out on the board to where another team could trade for him for, say, 2 first-round draft picks. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on with Lamar, because I think the franchise tag with him is going to be inevitable. Then the question leads to, after you get between the exclusive and non-exclusive tag, Ike, is does Lamar end up holding out? And I think that he will end up holding out if he's put under the franchise tag. And then what do the Ravens do? So that's what I'm keeping my eye on, number one. I have my crazy half-baked theory that I think he could wind up in Tampa. And then number two, with Rodgers to the Jets, it goes back to what we were talking to last offseason, Ike, where there were rumors that Rodgers could go out to Denver. And it's like, do you really want to play Josh Allen every year, twice a year? Do you want to play Bill Belichick and the Patriots? And then you've got to take on Tua and the Dolphins that are up and coming as well. The grass isn't always greener. I think that in the NFC North, the Vikings are a paper tiger. 11 of the 13 wins the Vikings had this past season came in one-score games. Yes, Detroit's on the up and up. They look pretty good right now. The Bears have a ton of draft capital and a ton of salary cap space, but they're still rebuilding too. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I know that you've been in Green Bay for forever. You had a stud rookie receiver this year. To me, I just don't understand what he's disgruntled about. But if he goes to New York, we're seeing all of this drama in Green Bay. In media market number one, Ike, it would be must-watch television if Aaron Rodgers does, in fact, become a New York Jet.
Yeah, Mark, I think we already talked about at the beginning of our show the biggest thing in the offseason, and it's Coach Eric Bieniemy leaving the Kansas City Chiefs. So
Wow.
I think that's the biggest offseason move, in my personal opinion. So I would like to see what the Kansas City Chiefs do in 2023 without Coach Eric Bieniemy. In my mind, I think he's the biggest transaction. I know we're talking about Lamar. I know we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. It's highly good to talk about quarterbacks in the offseason. But if the Ravens don't sign Lamar, then the Ravens, I don't understand why if they don't. Aaron Rodgers, he been tickling us for the last couple of years on retiring, not retiring, what he feel like he needs on the team. So I'm just kind of like exhausted from talking about Aaron Rodgers on how he acts in the offseason and how he feels. He knows he's in the position of power, so I can't knock him from that standpoint. But they haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2009. So it's going on 2023. We're in 2023 right now. So Aaron Rodgers, regardless on what he thinks or how he feels, he know he's going to the Hall of Fame. It's just do the man want another Super Bowl or not. So that's how fast football passes you by. They beat us in 2008-09 season, and they haven't been back since. It's 2023. That's a long time ago. So for me, it's Eric Bieniemy. I would like to see. I said nothing about when they lost Cheetah. I wasn't worried because I knew they had Eric Bieniemy. I knew Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, that duo, they'll figure something out. So, and they did. They wound up winning another one. But it's going to be Coach Eric Bieniemy. I think Coach Eric Bieniemy is the biggest transaction in 2023 football world.
Ike, that comes from a tremendous amount of insight. I am very surprised to hear you say that. I mean, few other things I want to mention, and we'll wrap here. Texans with the 2nd and the 12th pick. I've got my eye on that. Who takes over for the Buccaneers in post-Tom Brady era in 2023? There is a ton this offseason. And it's like we're only at the tip of the iceberg, Ike, and we could talk till sundown about all of this.